The next question is the two key concepts of Darwin's theory of evolution are. Remember, the two key concepts of Darwin theory are natural selection and branching descent. Branching descent refers to adaptive radiations, where we have studied the classical example of adaptive radiations, that is beak in Darwin's finches. Natural selection is based on the following principles: prodigality of production or overproduction, that is the tendency of an organism to produce always in much greater number than actually what is going to survive to maintain the constancy of the species. The second one is struggle for existence, where the organisms and the members of a population living in an area are going to compete for their needs. The third principle is variations and their inheritance. Darwin recognized two types of variations. One is continuous variations, which speaks about gradational changes. The second one is discontinuous variations, which are large variations, what was recognized as mutation by Hugo de Vries, whereas Charles Darwin ignored it and called it as sports. The fourth principle is the survival of fittest, where the role of nature selecting the organism showing adaptive fitness was given, and the last one is origin of species. So, the answer is natural selection and branching descent. When we look into the option A, natural selection, concept of Darwin's theory, whereas use and disuse of organ is the concept of Lamarck's theory of organic evolution. Same thing, use and disuse, whereas inheritance of acquired, both are the concepts proposed by Lamarck. Branching descent and inheritance of acquired character, second part again Lamarck. So, we confirm that option C as the answer. Let me come to the question. The patient of this disease exhibits symptoms like sustained high fever, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache and loss of appetite. The options given are A, typhoid, B, pneumonia, C, malaria, D, amoebic dysentery. So, let me look into the symptoms. We are going to see high fever in typhoid, we see fever in case of pneumonia, we are going to see recurring fever in case of malaria, even in case of amoebic dysentery, little increase in body temperature is going to be found. So, thereby fever is there, option amoebic dysentery can be eliminated. We come to the second one, weakness. Any disease is going to have some amount of weakness. When it comes to stomach pain or abdominal pain, it is going to be seen only in case of typhoid and amoebic dysentery. Since amoebic dysentery we have already eliminated, the answer is typhoid. So, option A is the answer. We also let us look little more about the options given here. Typhoid, please remember typhoid is caused by a bacterium, Salmonella typhus, and also as you have studied, you have to remember we have a serological test to know whether the patient suffering from this enteric fever, and for that Weidel test is conducted. When it comes to pneumonia, where fluid deposition occurs in the alveoli of the lungs, the bacteria responsible for this is Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. Malaria, so you know that it is caused by protozoan parasite Plasmodium. Amoeba is a disease caused by protozoan and the pathogen is Entamoeba histolytica. We move on to the next question. The patient suffering from malaria fever will have chill and high fever recurring once in every 3 to 4 days. This is due to, the options are rupture of hepatocytes in liver, entry of sporozoites into liver cell, release of hemozoin by breakdown of RBCs, destruction of RBCs and liver cells. Let us look into the options. Rupture of hepatocytes in liver cells. Dear students, remember the infective stage of Plasmodium parasite is sporozoite. When mosquito is going to inject sporozoite into the blood of the individual, the sporozoites enter into the liver cells which are called hepatocytes, and there it is going to have a cycle what is called exoerythrocytic cycle or hepatic cycle. During this, it is not going to cause any symptoms, and after its cycle or life cycle in the liver cells, it is going to attack the RBCs, and the event is called erythrocytic cycle, during which it is going to enter into trophozoite stage, which is a feeding stage. It feeds on hemoglobin. As a result, the waste or metabolic product hemozoin is formed. When the parasite comes out in large number by breaking RBC, the toxin hemozoin, a metabolic waste, is released, which is the cause for recurring fever with chills. Thereby, the option C is the answer. Now, we move on to the next question. Statement A, Entamoeba histolytica is a parasite in the large intestine of human. Statement B, it is a digenic parasite having two hosts, namely human and housefly. Let me look into the options. Option A, both statements A and B are correct. Statement A is correct and B is wrong. Both statement A and B are incorrect. Statement B is correct and A is wrong. Let us again look into the statements. Statement A says Entamoeba histolytica is a parasite in the large intestine of human. We already know that Entamoeba histolytica causes amoebic dysentery, and the site where it is going to exist is the large intestine. Thereby, statement A is correct. The second statement says it is a digenic parasite having two hosts, one is human and other one is housefly. Remember, the housefly is a mechanical carrier. Only if a part of the life cycle of a pathogen or a parasite is going to occur, then only that can be considered as a host, and therefore, the statement B is incorrect because it has only one host, that is human, whereas housefly is a mechanical carrier. Without housefly also, the disease can spread from one individual to other through contaminated food and water. So, the answer is statement A is correct and B is wrong. Option B is the answer. We move on to the next question. The term ringworm refers to. Options are like this. It is a common infectious fungal disease. Option B, nematodes. Option C, annelidin worm. Option D, diseases caused by nematodes. So, the term ringworm refers to, I hope all of you know, ringworm is a disease, ringworm is not an organism. The ringworm is a disease caused by fungus, For example, it is caused by fungus like mycosporum. So, let me look into the options. A. Common infectious fungal disease. Option B. Nematodes. Option C. Annelidan worm. Option D. Disease caused by nematodes. Remember, ringworm is not an organism, thereby the option B, nematode, the option C, annelidan worm is not answer. So, either we have to look for A or D. What is disease? It is disease caused by nematodes. So, remember, this is a fungal disease, thereby option A is the answer. The fungus responsible for ringworm disease is epidermophyton, trichophyton and mycosporum. Now we come to the next question. An amnestic response of the body to pathogen is always highly intensified. The possible reason could be A. Memory of the first encounter of pathogen, ability to distinguish self from non-self, strong physical and physiological barriers, D. Well developed innate behavior. Dear friends, this question relates to body immunity. Remember, amnesia refers to forgetfulness. Amnesia refers to loss of memory. An amnestic response means memory based response. So, thereby the answer is A, memory of the first encounter of pathogen. Let us look into the other options. The ability to distinguish self from non-self. Whenever we talk about specific body immunity, which is acquired immunity, which exists in higher organisms, that is vertebrates, which does not exist in invertebrates, we always look into two important features of specific body immunity. One is ability to distinguish self from non-self. The second one is secondary immune response, which is memory based. Always secondary immune response is rapid, and the question is about that. The option C, strong physical and physiological barriers, speak about non-specific body immunity, that is acquired body immunity. The option D, well developed innate behavior. Innate behavior is non-specific body immunity represented by first and second line of defense that include the surface barriers like skin and mucous membrane, that include chemical barriers, that include physiological barriers and cytokine barriers. We move on to the next question. The body immunity associated with graft rejection is, the options are as follows: A. Humoral immunity, B. Inflammatory response, C. Cellular barriers such as phagocytes, D. Cell mediated immunity. The body immunity associated with graft rejection. So, we all know that whenever there is going to be organ failure occurs, we have to go for transplantation of organ. Many a times there is going to be rejection of organ. What is the cause for this? This is the question. When we look into this, the option A says humoral immunity. Dear friends, remember, when we talk about specific body immunity, we broadly classify specific body immunity into two kinds. They are namely the antibody mediated immunity and cell mediated immunity. Antibody mediated immunity, here the antibodies which are produced by mature activated B cells or B lymphocytes, which are also referred to as plasma cells, release the antibody into the blood, which will be in circulation. Thereby it is also called humoral immunity. When we talk about cell mediated immunity, it is the T cells which are associated with cell mediated immunity. When we talk about T cells, we have helper T cells, killer T cells, which are also called cytotoxic T cells, and suppressor cells. It is cytotoxic T cells which are going to attack a non-self organ. Thereby the answer is cell mediated immunity. Now we move on to the next question. It is assertion and reason based. Assertion: feeding the yellowish fluid colostrum secreted by mother during initial lactation period provide protection. Reason: colostrum is rich in immunoglobulin G. I repeat again. Assertion A: feeding the yellowish fluid colostrum secreted by mother during initial lactation period provide protection. Reason: colostrum is rich in immunoglobulin G. Now let us discuss the assertion and reason. What is colostrum? I hope all of you know. After the birth of the baby, the yellowish colored secretion of mammary gland is colostrum, and this colostrum is rich in antibody which is called immunoglobulin A, that is going to provide immunity to the newborn against the infections in the respiratory passageway, digestive passageway. And the reason here says colostrum is rich in immunoglobulin G, which is wrong. Also remember, immunoglobulin G is the antibody type which occurs in largest number, and it is associated with the secondary immune response. Colostrum carries immunoglobulin A. Immunoglobulin A is also found in all body fluids, thereby it is called secretory antibodies. So the answer is, the assertion is correct, whereas reason is wrong. So the option we have to go for, as the answer is C, that is assertion is true and reason is false. Now we move on to the next question. The cells associated with allergy are, options are A. polymorphonuclear leukocytes, B. natural killer cells, C. macrophages and monocytes, D. mast cells. Let us look into the options. The question is the cells associated with allergy. What is allergy? Allergy refers to the severe inflammatory response of the body to certain foreign agents, what we call as allergens. When we look into the option first, that is A, polymorphonuclear leukocytes, which is abbreviated as PMNL. Option B, natural killer cells. Option C, macrophages and monocytes. Option D, mast cells. Polymorphonuclear leukocytes are nothing but neutrophils. They are the very small phagocytes which are also called macrophages. They are associated with phagocytosis, that is cell eating macromolecules. Option B, natural killer cells. Natural killer cells are also called third population cells or null cells. They are a type of lymphocytes, but they are different from B and T cells, which are associated with specific body immunity. Natural killer cells are going to pick certain tumor cells and help in their destruction. Thereby, that is not an answer. Macrophages and monocytes, these are also phagocytes. Mature monocytes, differentiated monocytes are nothing but macrophages. When it comes to mast cell, that is the answer. Mast cells are going to break down in response to allergen attaching to the antibody that is going to be found on the membrane of the mast cells. Remember, the immunoglobulin or antibody associated with allergy is immunoglobulin G. Immunoglobulin G is produced by B cells, which go and attach to the mast cell surface. When allergen enters, it binds to this immunoglobulin G antibodies. In response to that, mast cells break down, releasing histamine and serotonin, which are responsible for inflammatory response, what we call as allergy. Thereby, the option D is the answer.